I'm Lauren Griffith, and Marianne Jolly and I work in the Office of Family Engagement. And we're really here just to serve as a resource to help you and your family during your students' time to JU. Marianne can drop in the link to the parent Facebook group in the chat as well as our contact info. But I know that you've already gotten to know some of us there as well as each other. So we look forward to seeing you all at Move-In. So just some important items to note for you all. Please visit our site, ju.edu/family. They've got several resources for families there. So to sign up to receive family information, we ask that you all fill out this family information form, which you can find on this website. The Get Involved form is there on that site as well. So you can connect your employer to JU, you can help volunteer for admissions, get involved in the Parents Council as well. Our office sends monthly e-newsletters, which are all archived if you'd like to go ahead and see what's happening as well. Again, you'd have to fill out that parent information form to get some of that information. And the President's Parents Council, so all of our panelists right now are involved in PPC. It's really an advisory board of parents who are plugged in with the administration to provide insight and feedback onto the parent experience at JU. So I know you received a letter from some of our Parents Council chairs this summer with more information about the council. So please feel free to reach out to us at family@ju.edu if you'd like more information about that or to get involved. Our office also gets to put on Homecoming and Family Weekend, so please save the date for October 9th through 11th, and we're going to release more information about how to register and what type of format that will be, if it'll be virtual or in person in about a month or so. On tonight's panel, we have 5 great families joining us. Shortly, I'm going to stop sharing the screen and let you see their faces so they can give you a little bit of an introduction. First, I'd like to turn it over to Lauren Rudolante to introduce herself to us.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm Lauren Rudolante. I'm from Palm Bay, Florida, which is about 3 hours south of Jacksonville, right down 95. I have 2 daughters at JU. My oldest is going into her senior year. She actually only has 1 more semester to go, and her major is psychology with minors in criminal justice and English. And my younger daughter was new to JU last year, so I went through that new parent experience again last year with her. And she is an art major with minors in marketing and sociology. And they've both been are in the honors program and have been involved with the Political Science Society, with which Alex helped bring to JU, and she was the past president of that. Brooke served as the secretary for that group as well, and Alex has been inducted to a number of academic and leadership honor societies in her time at JU, and I'm just thrilled to be here with you all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Okay, Tisdales, we'll turn it over to y'all to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Natalie and Ty Tisdale, and our daughter Addie will be a sophomore at JU. We're from Colorado. We are in a suburb of Colorado, and Addie is on the lacrosse team and loves being by the beach because we live in the cold mountains or close to the mountains. So lacrosse is something she loves. She's a sports business major in the business school and loves the business school and has had some really great classes so far her freshman year. Anything to add to that?
We just love the beach.
Yeah, we do too. Yeah, so we've had a great first year experience and looking forward to the next 3.
Oh, great. Well, we love the beach too. It's one of the most wonderful perks about Jacksonville, right? Jamie Sabato, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for inviting me, and welcome all new families. My son is Ulysses Gabriel. We call him Uggs. He's going into his sophomore year, and JU's been wonderful. It's been like an extended family. We're about, I guess, almost 4 hours away from Jacksonville. We're in Boca Raton, and it's close enough, but yet far enough. But it's really like an extended family. So he's majoring in geography and sustainability, but he does tend to change. So we'll talk about that later.
We sure will. Okay. Thanks so much, Jamie. Matthew's family. You guys, it looks like you guys are on mute. If you want to click unmute.
Sorry about that. Can you guys hear us okay?
Yes, we can hear you great.
So thank you. I'm Tim. This is Cynthia. We live in Maryland, in Bowie, Maryland, right outside of DC. And our daughter Victoria goes to, she started first year.
Yeah, she's entering as a sophomore.
And she had a great year, and until everything happened. And she joined Alpha Delta Pi sorority, and we've watched her blossom. She joined the Student Alumni Association.
Yeah. And she's studying marketing and business.
Okay.
Well, wonderful. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And then finally, we have Mark and Lori Milovich, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Lori, and this is my husband, Mark, and we are both JU alumni and college sweethearts. Our son, Ryan, is going to be a junior. He's majoring in business management. I have to keep looking at Mark, so I'm like, okay, make sure I get this right. Ryan is the president of Pike. He's also in the Student Alumni Association. He's in the President Leadership Advisory Council. And I think that's everything.
And he enjoys the beach.
He enjoys the beach. I think he enjoys the beach a little too much. And he is resident. He lives in the dorms.
Yeah.
So he's trying to be a commuter, but right now he lives in the dorms.
And we were class of 1992, which seems like ages ago.
But I bet it feels like just yesterday.
No more coming like- yeah. We have envy over the campus. Let's just say.
And we live in Atlanta.
And we live in
Yes, good to note. I don't know if we have any Atlanta people here. You can probably find them in the chat. Well, I thought we'd start off tonight by just kind of talking about what that initial transition was like for your family when your student left for your first year. Lauren Rudolante, I'd like to start with you. You've got two daughters at JU. I know both had very different experiences. I'm sure it was a real comfort for Brooke to have Alex around, her older sister around. But do you want to just tell us a little bit about how you adjusted to those first few weeks away from home for both?
Sure. For Alex, she was ready. She was ready to go to college. She was ready since the time I think she was 11. She wanted to be 18. She wanted to go off and explore the world. So she was really excited, and she met a group of people when she went to her orientation session over the summer that she reconnected with quickly when she moved onto campus. And so she kind of already had a small group, and then continued to grow that group, meeting people in her classes and starting study groups, and she just jumped right in and enjoyed it. Brooke was the more shy one. She was very nervous about moving away and starting college and what dorm life would be like and all of that. And but it made her feel much better knowing her sister was going to be living across campus. And so I would say her first few weeks were really spent with her sister. You know, when she wasn't in classes, she was at her sister's apartment on campus, hanging out with her friends some and getting to know people that way. And then slowly she started to meet people in her own classes. She met a bunch of wonderful people at honors orientation, which was, I think, in early September. And then she just kind of found her way, and then she was kind of on her own, separate from her sister. They could see each other if they wanted to, but they had their own separate sort of lives and friendships going.
Great. Tisdale family, I know Addie was your first to go off to college. How did the transition go, moving her away, not just for you, but for her siblings as well?
So I'll start. It was harder on me than anyone else because she's our first of three and she was going so far away. So we decided to make the drive. But it was a wonderful, like 23-hour drive across the country, and she and I had just an awesome time driving. I think we had an awesome time. I think she thought we played too much music and that I brought up too many memories. But it was a great way to get her there and to feel like it was the transition we needed. The first couple of weeks, she was just so excited. I'd say it was a typical move-in, and one thing that I think really helped, and this is something important if you're kids are in a sport or a club or a sorority, a fraternity, whatever that is she had a family when she got there in the lacrosse team. So she didn't know anyone else other than a few of those girls. And it gave her kind of that immediate group to bond with. But the transition was also tougher on our family because our two other siblings, especially our youngest, who's still in elementary school, is super attached to her. And so that transition, I think we're going to talk about a little bit later in how we have dealt with that with our family and technology. And it's helped tremendously. But overall, the transition, I felt like it was pretty good. She blossomed right away, like just loved being there, loved living in the dorms. And how about you? You feel the same way?
Feel the same way. Our 10-year-old was in heavy tears, but a candy jar with a candy for each day that he was away from her until he saw her next was the solution.
And she came up with that. She gave him a candy jar of the days until they would see each other again.
Oh gosh, I love that. I remember meeting him at orientation, and they definitely had a special bond for sure. So kind of moving on a little bit, going to college is really about, you know, what you learn inside the classroom, but what you learn outside the classroom as well. And those students learning how to navigate obstacles on their own is a really important step for them learning how to be independent. So as parents, everyone worries about their student. I worry about my kids and they're just itty bitty. How they'll handle making friends, will they do the laundry right, are they taking care of themselves, oversleeping for a class, something like that. So I think it's important for incoming families kind of to know that it's okay to have bumps in the roads and sort of hear how you all have navigated that process, what your experience is like, and how you've worked with JU to sort of receive reassurances living so far away. So beyond academics and homesickness, you know, is there anything that came up, Jamie? I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about how you approached any of those situations when they came up, or how did you encourage your son to handle them on his own?
So Ulysses came from a small private school in Boca Raton. So for him to go away, I was actually his school teacher when he was in the grade, but we were used to going to campus every day together for 15 years. You know, I taught at the school that he was at. So this was the first time that he was away, which he was really excited about. And I know everyone always gets butterflies, and as parents we get butterflies too, but I think the experience of him having a roommate, so he's always had his own bedroom, and having a roommate and going through that whole process was new. And in the beginning, two different backgrounds, two different approaches, two different schedules, two different majors, and so they got along, but they found that they didn't really have a lot in common. And I was really impressed with how JU stepped up to the plate, but I also, as a parent, had to let him grow and experience, those moments where, hey, everything isn't going to be just perfect, and you have to learn how to work things out. And I really feel that JU was so supportive in this, and sometimes it's good for them to feel a little uncomfortable to know how to get their own voice. And so I really feel like he found his own voice up at JU and was just supported the whole way across the scale. And they made the switch really quickly, and he just found his group of friends, and he's doing great.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And I think that's, something that's a really common thing to happen freshman year. It's great that he learned how to handle that himself. And I think oftentimes you build relationships with a lot of the staff working here that he'll probably carry on throughout his time. So that's great to hear. Matthew's family, how did you support Tori going through any of those issues, if she had anything?
Yes. So Tori, she is very private, and that was, I guess I had to try to read her. And she also came from a very small school, and I was a little concerned about her transition into her freshman year of college. But toward the end of her senior year in school, she developed just one relationship. I was just hoping that she would do the same, and she did. One thing about Tori is that she has an older sister that she talks to, but at the same time, FaceTime was our go-to comfort because it was our norm, and we didn't always know if she had problems or what she was going through. And we knew that she had maturity, even though she was quiet, to, come to us and just FaceTime us, and we would just talk about things that was common with all of us, that would make us laugh, make us cry. And her dog was paramount to her, so he was always on the call too. And I always think that gave her a level of comfort. And I think that was a part of her transition from afar, is the FaceTime, knowing that we were here, no matter what.
And I think what happened is we ended up kind of taking different roles over FaceTime, which was kind of nice. So, some of the things that Tori may ask me about, like just how to navigate the portal, or, not so much with her assignments because she was doing pretty good with that, but just little logistics like that. She would come to me or come to mom, and the roles started to be very defined on what we handled. And I think actually we've all done a good job of adjusting.
It was a learning experience for all of us. I know she was on the lacrosse team in high school, so I did all her laundry and everything for her. And it's like, oh my goodness, is she going to be able to do this on her own? And her roommate didn't show up for one reason or another, and so she was alone in her room. But I felt that she wanted to be adult-like and handle her situation. So she would ask me about sorting her clothes and all of that. But at the same time, I found out that it wasn't my job to really always give her my input. Let her talk. Let me listen to what she has to say. She didn't necessarily want to answer if she had a question. It was more rhetorical, and she just wanted to solve it. And when I stepped back and I took pause, I understood her and she understood me. And there was a tremendous amount of growth from that point on, and it was early on. And then she went on to be accepted at 3 sororities were interested in her, and ultimately she went with 80 Pi. And she's so happy with the whole volunteering aspect of it. And I think she has her sense of adulthood now, to some degree, because we did let go.
Oh, I love hearing that story. Lauren, I know your girls have made really great connections with folks on campus. Can you share a little bit about your experience about how you've observed them being able to advocate for themselves? I know Alex, I think, got an internship from a professor. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Sure. In Alex's junior year, she, I mentioned earlier, criminal justice is one of her minors. And so she had a number of classes with Dr. Grant for sociology. And so in the midst of classes, Dr. Grant approached her about a potential internship in Jacksonville. So last summer, she spent the summer in Jacksonville interning in the public defender's office. And so that was the exciting thing. And that was one of the things that impressed me so much about JU, is that they have those opportunities. And just in her showing interest in her class, in the topics and in what was going on, being so actively involved in the discussions, it made her stand out to this professor as a good person for this internship opportunity. Also, both girls have, formed great relationships with Dr. Halvistow, who runs the honors program. And, she's sort of like another mom on campus. She's somebody that they can go to and talk to about things if they're unsure about their schedule, or just direction, just wanted to talk things out. My girls do contact me a lot. FaceTime, text, everything. But they also have made great connections of their own with their professors. Last spring, when everything moved to online because of the coronavirus, the girls came home They were taking their classes online. And, you know, Brooke, my younger one, she really, you know, missed one of her professors a lot, and just loved when they actually had lectures. It was her ethics professor. And, you know, it was just special. And she was sad when the semester ended, because she wasn't going to see this professor again, you know, and she didn't get to say goodbye to her in person, things like that. You know, Lauren was a wonderful, wonderful connection for Brooke. She met her at orientation on campus, and she was kind of another mom and someone for Brooke to look up to, and Marianne as well. They really kind of took her under their wing and made sure that she was okay. They reached out to her. I believe she got together with you, Lauren, for coffee one time, and just a check-in. You know, it just, the staff, the professors, everyone at JU, they really care about our children as individuals. And, you know, if they're not in class for some reason, or they seem down that day, you know, it's not unusual for them to follow up with them later, send a message and say, hey, are you okay? Or maybe on the way out of class, you know, I noticed you look a little down today. What's going on? And it's really a great support system.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's really been a pleasure for us to get to know her and really all the students that we come in contact with, for sure. So kind of pivoting to communication, something that we've talked about quite a bit already. I think everyone would agree that it's really key during your first year, and given students are so far away from home for the first time, it can really be a challenge to kind of step back and find that good balance of being accessible but not overbearing. Tisdale's, did you all talk with Addie about how often you were going to check in prior to moving in, or did you kind of naturally stumble upon that good rhythm?
It's fairly natural in terms of the rhythm. You know, we had a high school girl, and we have another high school girl now. And when she went to college, she's more of a peer. So she used to go up into her room and kind of shut the door, so we didn't go to a whole lot of communication. So I think we communicated more with her freshman year than we did her, you know, a couple years prior. We did that. We found that every call was FaceTime, and Natalie and I would fight over the phone to see her and talk to her and see how she looked. And so, you know, FaceTime is really key. We also had her keeping in touch with little bro we mentioned before, and we took him on a special trip to a Jags game in the beach and to see his sister, and to keep them in touch. And then he gets a little bit of time on Xbox, on Fortnite, to play with his sister, and, you know, they get on the headphones together and talk. That's when we're okay with that, and we can debate parenting later about Xbox time. The other things with communication are, she's in the business school and going into a field that I'm part of in business to sports, and so we've had lots of conversations there about project ideas and paper ideas, and, you know, some connections for interviews. That's how we've kept in touch, you know, academically.
Yeah, I will second what Tyler said, that we talked more when she went to college than I think we did in the year or two prior. And one thing that was hard for me is that I just wanted to check on her every day. Again, she was our first one leaving, and I missed her, and she was so far away. And I just wanted to check on her. And it was hard for me to not call her every day. And so I had to really just step back and go, she'll call me. And she ended up calling me just on her way to class. And I tried to not ask too many questions like I usually do. And I just let her talk. And then when she was done, I'd say, okay, good to see you. And so sometimes they were 2-minute conversations, and they were just little check-ins. And it was important probably for me to discipline myself in not asking too many questions, not going too deep, and just letting her be excited about things she was calling about. So sometimes it was, I had this great class today, or I had a hard practice, or whatever it was, but to just give her that room to vent and check in.
That's great. I'm surprised you all didn't start learning how to play Fortnite too.
Oh, they've asked. It was a super way for them to stay connected, though, because it would be these little periods where they talk in between the games. So it actually was a super way for me to kind of check in on how she was too. I could judge it through Fortnite.
Well, that's a really sweet story. Jamie, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of communication with Ulysses as well? during that
Sure,
first-
sure. I really love the idea of FaceTime. My son, for a few times, and I also just want to say that Marianne and Lauren have been so instrumental. The both of you have been so instrumental in this entire process of checking in on him, and I know with everyone else, and leaving goodies at his room, and you know, so that's so greatly appreciated, and everyone really should know it really is an extended family. But with respect to communication, I agree with Natalie and her husband. You have to sort of let them go, and I had to discipline myself as well, you know, not to call as much as I wanted to. And I'm a single parent, so not having Ulysses here was really a huge transition. And then I found that he would call also, either at the beginning of class or on his way to class, or he would go down to the river and just, you know, make a quick check-in or a quick call. But at one point he didn't want to FaceTime. And I said to him, I said, just FaceTime. And he said, oh, I don't have it on my phone. And I said, well, just let's WhatsApp. So I saw him and he had a beard. So that was, I said, oh, that's why you didn't want to FaceTime. So that was, it's really cool. So, but, you know, I didn't pressure him into that. It was just like his way of showing me, hey, I have a beard now. So anyway, but, you know, it's finding a balance.
For sure. Okay, so Mark and Lori, you're alums yourself, as you mentioned, and you obviously had a added familiarity with Jacksonville and JU that you could share with Ryan, but you may also be able to share with some of our other families on the panel tonight a little bit about that. So how did he adjust to living in a new city? Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in Jacksonville? How did he get around? Did he bring a car? Any other kind of helpful tips about living in Jax?
Well, Jacksonville has really changed since the years that we were down there, back in the 80s, early 90s. And I took Ryan down there for his visit and drove him around all the hangouts that we used to go to. And after about an hour and a half of reminiscing, he was like, okay, Dad, I get it. You went here. I got it. Enough. Stop reminiscing. And took him to the campus. And of course, we hadn't been on campus in a number of years, and to see the changes was just very exciting. As we did, he really fell in love with the school immediately. Just, you know, being an urban school, which was what he was looking for, the campus, and then being 30 minutes from the beach didn't hurt. He really liked that. And of course, this was back in the day when we were there, back in the days before Uber and other ride sharing. I had a car. Lori did not initially, but I had a car. And if you had a car, you were very popular on campus. For other students to, you know, run errands, or and my car could get to the beach and back on its own, going so far all the time. But we wanted him to have a car there just because it was a more of an urban setting and be able to get around. Of course, we did put some pretty strict guidelines on him having a car, and he knows if any of those are violated, the car is coming back to Atlanta and he's staying there.
Well, and we also have Life 360 on his phone, so we know where he is at all times. So that helps. So.
But yeah, but we knew that it was a benefit to him having a car, and being 6 hours from JU. If he wants to jump home for a weekend, he has that opportunity to do that.
Great, awesome. Lauren, do you want to talk about your experience? I think you have one daughter with a car, one without. How that's worked out for her in terms of independence?
Sure. Alex went away with a car and actually her drive, our drive to move her in was the furthest she had ever driven at one time when we drove up to Jacksonville, certainly the furthest on the highway. So that was a little bit, made me a little nervous, but she, you know, she loves it there. She doesn't have to take her car off campus too often, but you know, well, once she moved in the apartments in junior year, she'd go shopping at Publix for food and things like that, which is just down the street. But it's definitely gave her opportunities, and she was able to stay in Jacksonville, do her internship, come home when she wanted to for breaks, and have that freedom. When both girls went last year. Brooke did not have her own car. They went up with the one car, but Brooke didn't actually have her license yet. She was in no rush to drive, and so she kind of was more like just a student without a car who didn't necessarily rely on her sibling for the car, because Alex also works on campus. She has 2 jobs in addition to carrying a full class schedule. So she wasn't always available if Brooke needed to get off campus. And for part of the honors program, there is a service learning component that they have to go off campus for. So Brooke, again, it's another example of advocating for herself as well, but she went to the people running the honors program, and they helped her coordinate ride sharing to get to the service learning location. And so, you know, she sometimes had her sister to help with things, maybe on the weekend, but for that portion of her class, she was able to make that happen and work with some ride sharing opportunities.
Great. So all of you guys have decided to get involved in a really special way by joining the President's Parents Council. Can you talk about how you first got plugged in with the university and kind of how your involvement has changed your students' experience too? Mark and Lori, as alums, I know you're already familiar with JU, but how do you guys stay connected with JU now that Ryan is?
Well, embarrassingly to say that we had not been back to JU since we graduated. So when Ryan decided to look at JU and attend, we were very excited about it, and really just we're so thankful for the opportunity to join the Parents Council to get us back involved into our alma mater where we spend so much time. And it's really been fun to get involved and attend the homecoming and the family weekends, and see our son in the environment that we were in, and see him flourishing with his friends and his fraternity brothers. Brought back a lot of memories for us. But it's nice to be able to get involved and give back to the school, because we've been gone for so long. So we're trying to play a little catch up for 25 years or whatever it's been.
Well, too, it's so exciting to see the growth of the school. That was for us coming back and just seeing how much the school has grown, how much has changed. To see there were still some professors there that were there when we were there. It broke our heart when Dr. Kinney passed away. She was there when we were there. She was president when we were there, became chancellor when we were there. I worked with her when we were there. It's just exciting. It's a sense of pride. We always say Dolphins forever. I think the incoming parents, you will get that sense of pride. You'll have that sense of love. It's a sense of family. You will fall in love with the school. It is, when we say your faculty care for your children, they do. You're not a number. Everybody will care for your child as if they are their children. And when President Koss says something, he means it. It's not a number. It's not, it's genuinely care for your children. I mean, you can go back and look at the videos when the hurricanes came through and the phenomenal job that JU does, the communication. Yeah, there's going to be bumps in the road and there's going to be frustrations, but I promise you the communication is genuine. And if you get frustrated, there are people there that will listen and help. Don't get caught up in other people's frustrations. There are people that will listen. And that's what I can tell you is the school will love you and love your children as if they're your own. So I mean, can you tell we love the school? I mean, even as a long time, we love JU.
Well, we love you guys too. We're glad that you're here. You guys touched on this a little bit, but the hurricanes, I feel like, is a question that we get from families a lot, usually during orientation. Lauren, do you mind just talking about your experience? You've had 2 daughters here over several years. So do you mind just talking about your experience and what current families can kind of expect from JU if something like that happens?
Sure, and hurricanes are not unusual in Florida, you know, especially in late August and the September timeframe, you know, even really October. So a lot of times we have some pretty big storms. But both of my daughters in their freshman years had had hurricanes come through that affected the school, the campus, and they had to relocate students to the south side of campus, and they kind of put them all together in just a couple of dorms that are in higher ground and closer to the dining hall so that they could bring food into them. But in Alex's freshman year, she moved across campus and into Botts Hall before it was refurbished and reopened last summer. So it was not, the AC kind of wasn't up to par, and some things like that have since been taken care of. But the administrators were there on campus with the students. They did not just like have RAs and, you know, there with them. The administrators were there. President Koss was there. Dean Gover was there. Alex actually met them when she came down for breakfast the first morning into the lobby with a blanket over her head and around her body because she had gotten sick. She had a cold. And when she moved across campus, she brought things with her. When she brought some cold medicine, but she didn't have enough and she ran out. And by that time, all the stores were closed. And there's a CVS right across the street, but it was closed. So that wasn't helpful. And she met President Koss and Dean Gover like that. Dean Gover asked around and they found an RA who had more cold medicine, and they took care of her, you know, and they made sure she was okay. They checked on her, you know, things like that. And then in Brooke's freshman year last year, another hurricane situation where they relocated students, and Brooke was living in Botts and Alex was living in the Village Apartments. She actually moved in with her sister temporarily. I think it was only one night because Jacksonville was spared last year. They did not get any of the brunt of the storm. But again, the communication was thorough, and it was often. There were daily Facebook Live sessions, there were emails, and there were many ways that they reached out and made sure that parents were aware of what was going on. Every time they would send an email to the students to make sure they were aware, they would also post it in the Facebook JU Parents and Families page so that we saw the exact same communications. If you went to the JU website, you can find the communications there. And they do an amazing job of communicating and taking care of and making sure that everyone's needs are met in the midst of, you know, potential crises.
Yeah, I think the residence halls are probably safer than my own home during a hurricane, so I might be bringing my family here next time. Before we kind of move on to the next question, just a reminder for some of our families on the line, feel free to drop a question in the chat, and we'll go ahead and pitch those to our panelists as well if you have anything to add. So just kind of thinking about the whole year, just curious to hear from some of our families about kind of what surprised you the most. You know, from the day you dropped your student off to the dorm and they went to their first class, just wondering how would you summarize kind of the whole year of development at JU, or you know, what did you learn about JU as a parent that you'd like to share? I'll turn it over to the Matthew.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Actually, the thing that surprised me the most was how quickly Tori grew up. I think we're guilty, as probably every parent on here, that we tend to spoil our kids a little bit, and we worry about them when they go off alone. And you know, we were the same way, and we just didn't understand, how's she going to make it? You know, how is this going to work? And she thrived. When we would talk to her, she'd say, you know, I met new people, I went here, you know, I went over here, we got something to eat with my new friends. Oh, we're hanging out down by the river. The campus is absolutely beautiful. She would call me and say, Dad, I saw dolphins down by the river. And, you know, we're up here freezing, you know. So we've been so jealous of her because the experience is wonderful. It's a wonderful school, and it's a school that's perfect for making your child grow up. I mean, the process that you guys have created makes, I think, the kids feel comfortable and empowered, but I think it also makes the parents feel very comfortable where we've left our kids.
and I have to say the same thing that all the other parents have said, is that she is so loved at that school by the administration, the faculty, and we feel so loved as well, because we are so informed of what's going on, and there's never been a doubt in our mind that she's cared for. No one ever lets her fall. So she will go and have her experiences, and I might check in through the back door some way or another if I think something's going on. And JU, you got it. You have her, and you're not overbearing, and you don't get into her business. But she would tell us, like, some of the teachers or her tutor was her friend, and like her girlfriends, she admires the administration as much as she does her friends, and I always called her teacher's pet. And she's in the library a lot, and she knows the lady, and she has to talk to her all the time. And it's just the love at the school that I can't say enough about. And Tim and I said in our college experiences, we wish we had that sincere and deep warmth. Now she's come home since, and I think she appreciates us more. And I've always said absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I can truly say that was our experience with Tori.
I love hearing that. That's a good endorsement for sure. Jamie, do you want to talk a little bit about Ulysses and kind of how he evolved over that first year, finding his major and starting undecided, things like that?
Well, he started off with one major, and then what I really love about JU is it's a university that supports growth and development and really opens up all of these different opportunities. So even though you go in thinking that you want to do one thing and study one area, JU offers the opportunity to just sort of try and test it out. And he's changed. I'm sure he'll change again. And I know at one point he was stressing, he said, oh, I have to choose my major. But what I loved about JU is the support, because they're letting him take different courses, and they actually create sort of their own menu and their own way that they can really decide upon their major, and with really no restrictions. So now he's really interested in geography and sustainability, but had it not been for his professors before, he wouldn't have had that opportunity to really go out and branch out from something totally different than he had started.
Great, and I think Krista can probably put a link in the chat, or it might, I think this session already happened, but about Pods, which is kind of a cloud-based software where students can go in and really pick their majors and minors. Right. Yep. So I'll let her go ahead and put that in the chat. Again, last call for any questions that you'd want to ask our panelists. But kind of just wanted to move into final thoughts before we do that. So I asked each of our panelists to just, during our prep, if they had any advice, last-minute advice or final thoughts that you'd want to share with families. So I would, at this time, just kind of turn it over. We'll start with Lauren to hear your closing thoughts.
Yeah, I just, I can't reiterate enough, your kids are in good hands, and their experience is going to be, they've got so many possibilities, and it'll be what they make of it. If they jump in, and there's so many opportunities academically, but also socially, all sorts of clubs and fraternities and sororities, and just great opportunities to get involved. And my best advice would be encourage them to try, encourage them to go out of what was their comfort zone before, try new things and explore, because that's really a lot of times where they find their passion.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Tisdale's, how about you?
So I would say, after just coming off of Addie's freshman year, the best advice that I would give, and I don't know how many people who are here have kids that have already been through college, but being a first-time parent of a college kid, for me, it was not to be afraid of the ripples. Like, there will be some, expect them, and to just let them grow through that. And again, being so far away, that was hard, but I trusted it. And she just matured unbelievably. We were just so grateful for that. And to trust the faculty and the people who were there. Like so many others have said, Tyler actually gave Addie this advice, and it's come true and helped, I think, all through her freshman year and will forever, that the faculty and the people there are much more peers to her than like in high school where they were her superiors. And to think of it that way, to think these are people who are advocating for you, who want to be there for you, who want to communicate with you, not just tell you what to do. And that's helped me and certainly helped her as well.
Another tip I'd like to leave you with, and that's get to know other parents if you can, and whatever students are affiliated with. In our case, we've had the benefit of the lacrosse team. It's outstanding program and coaches, and we've gotten to know the other parents really well. And I'm about that close from hand sewing my own dolphin suit.
Oh, we'll have to pull that in the bookstore. That's a good merch idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it over to you for just some closing thoughts or last minute advice for our family.
You cut out. Did you call me?
I did. Yeah, sorry about that.
I did, yeah, cut out for a second. So last thoughts. Everyone is going to be, because I'm a first-time mom with my child going off to college, and just embrace that it's going to be a change for you and for them, but also remember that they have this opportunity. They're in a brand new place, and with all new friends, all new people, you're still at home, you're still doing your routine, so you're going to feel it on a different level. And it's okay to miss them, and it's okay for them to miss you. And I like what one of the parents said before, it's the ripples, and you just go through it. You just ride the wave, and JU does have your back. Everyone does. The teachers, the administration, everyone. And just know that when your child goes there, that they are safe, they are loved, and they are cared for. And so embrace it.
Great. Thank you so much. Matthew's family. How about you?
Well, when we dropped Tori off, we became empty nesters, and it was bittersweet because although she was going through a life-changing event, so were we. 18 years of the normal, and now nothing. And she was probably more spoiled than the older child, and so letting go was a little bit harder. But it was a life-changing experience for her, as it was for us. And when we moved her in, I had some anxieties, and I had to hyperventilate on the side a little bit, and we were hanging her dresses up and her clothes, and she's yelling at Mom, I'm like, what? And he's carrying boxes. And I stopped and I looked at her, and we had a quiet moment, and I said, this is very humbling for me too. This is a real experience here, and I have a different emotion, and I'm here to support you, so we have each other. And it humbled her more. She looked at me, not worried, but she felt somewhat equal in feelings, and that surprised us both. And I think her maturity level clicked on there, where she wanted to, again, be that adult-like person, but she understood me. And I thought that was, a great experience. And she went on to thrive in every area of the school. And I know her anxiety were based on well, I know this girl, I don't know anyone, I don't even have a roommate. And I felt that anxiety with her. And these kids are resilient, and you're either going to stay in your room or you're going to get out. And President Costas, he said, you got to get out. And she remembered that, and she got out, and she became a part of everything. I said, you can't sign up for everything. And so that's a good story. It's a great transition, I feel.
Absolutely.
So just let go. Go ahead.
Just let go and realize that we as parents, we actually have done a good job. And when I say we, I'm talking about this whole group here. We've done a good job. We did our job, and it's time to let them go, and they are going to do just fine. And we're just so proud. And you guys did pick the right school. You really did. We've been able to compare schools, and if we were able to get this kind of interaction from where we sent our older daughter, I mean, that would just be wonderful.
Yeah.
We feel spoiled to be a part of JU.
And we brag
So
about it so
we're
much.
thanking you guys as
Thank
well.
you.
So thank you.
Oh, I love hearing that. Oh, that just really pulls at my heartstrings here at the Milovich family. Some closing thoughts from you all.
Our oldest, Ryan is our middle son, and our oldest son went to another small university here in the Southeast. And I can tell you the one thing that JU has is an administration that is approachable and accessible. President Cost is approachable and accessible. Dr. Sapienza, the university provost, is approachable and accessible. Ryan had an issue with a class that he was very concerned about, and had a meeting with the provost to discuss, I think the meeting was like 45 minutes, a very open, honest, and detailed discussion with the university provost. The deans, all the deans are approachable and they're accessible, unlike what our oldest son experienced, where the administration was not very accessible, it was not very approachable. My son has the president and the dean and the provost cell phone numbers in his cell phone. I mean, what university do you go to where your children have that kind of access to the university administration? So to dovetail on what another parent just said, you've picked the right university. If your child does not get involved in JU, they almost have to work at it. You almost have to work at not getting involved. There's so many opportunities there at the school. They're going to thrive. They're going to show you sides of them that you didn't know existed. It's really special.
And to the parents, I encourage you, get involved. We've made friendships in the parent council. We meet twice a year, and we have made friendships that we talk to parents throughout the year. They are friendships that will last a lifetime. We've laughed on the JU Facebook page. There are several things we laugh about. We share thoughts. We IM each other. So I encourage you, get involved. When it comes to homecoming, in our meetings, we get together and it's like we've just seen each other the other day versus twice a year. So not only do your children get involved, parents get involved. It's so much fun. It'll make your college experience fun too. So, join in the fun.
I think that's a great way to end it, and a really good way to put how your parent involvement really does kind of benefit your child's experience too. I think sometimes at those parents council meetings, the parents say like, I just told my student about all this development that they're doing on campus, or this and that. I feel like I'm more plugged in than my student might be. So we had a few questions in the chat pop up. So I'm going to put some of our panelists on the spot. Matthew's family, somebody asked about the pros and cons of going to a small school versus a big school. You touched on that just a little bit, but in about a minute, do you think you could sort of respond to that question from a current parent?
Absolutely. So the University of Miami is where our oldest daughter goes, and it's compared to JU, it is much bigger. And the comparison, we actually feel kind of alienated a little
left
bit
out. They're nice.
from the university. And I'm not knocking the university. It's a University of Miami, great school, but we feel like visitors when we go there, and we're kind of very apprehensive when we walk around the campus, if we even get to go to the campus, because our daughter lives off campus. And JU is it's like the gem of the South. It really is. It's a fantastic school. We're glad that our high school counselor discovered the school for us, and it's been a great experience for us, one that I never had in college.
Neither did I,
to touch on a point that the other parents made, this is a great experience for us, and we're enjoying it.
Yeah, we feel comfortable. Like I come on campus, I feel like I'm a part of the family, and people know us, and we don't even know them. And it's just, I go to her dorm, we don't want to leave, and she's telling us you could go now. It's like, well, let's go to Chick-fil-A. But it's just that comfortable. I know Tori was sick at one point, and I was trying to find another doctor for her. Long story short, some lady I called in the directory because I was in the grocery store and she was so sick. It's like, I don't know who you are, but can you do a well check on my daughter? And she did. And she said, you know, Tori does not have a fever. I found out later she worked in the administrative office, but she helped me. She could have hung up the phone or passed me from one person to another or one department to another, and she didn't. And she knew that was one thing I was really upset on, because it just hit her so hard. And it was different than any other sickness she had. And they helped me, and I thought that was a big deal.
Yeah, it's true. And I think, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just actually wanted to add just one more of my experiences, because we were down on a visit and a lot of the parents were there, and you guys have a wonderful flight simulator. And you guys made sure that Tim got a chance to sit behind the wheel and land the plane. You know, it was wonderful.
They yanked him out of the parent meeting.
They did. They yanked me out just so that I could fly the plane. So
thank you.
It is a great school.
You're welcome. And that is a hot attraction here on campus too. For sure. And I think, you know, you touched on something really important, those well checks. I mean, there's a lot of times where current families might just be a little worried because they either haven't heard from their student, or they might be concerned that they're struggling with depression or anxiety or something like that. And there are a lot of resources on campus that, you know, if you call similar experience, we have ways of doing a well check on your students so they don't know that you're the one asking for the well check. So if you're nervous about that or have any issues, feel free to contact Marianne and I. We can certainly point you in the right direction. We have a great student counseling center too, with a ton of resources as well that I encourage you guys to check out. One other question that came in through the chat, I know we're kind of approaching our time, so if our panelists can just stick around, we have some kind of rapid fire questions I'll throw out to you guys, and we'll just go down the list. So if you guys want to get off mute, if you want to unmute yourselves, I'll just go down the line. So somebody asked, how many times did you visit? So we'll just start. Lauren.
Before my first daughter started JU, I probably was on campus 3 or 4 times for different events leading up to it. And then typically, any typical year, I'm there at least 2 to 3 times.
2 to 3. Okay. Tisdale's. I know you're probably here more for lacrosse, but how many times would you visit in a year?
We wanted to go to every game, so we went to the 2 fall ball games there and 4 home games before, or 4 games before they canceled the season.
Awesome. Jamie, how about you?
Well, probably he came home early because of the situation, but probably 2 to 3 times. 2 to 3.
Okay. Matthew's family, how often did you get here the first year?
I think about maybe 4 or 5 times. We run our own business, so we have more flexibility. So en route to Palm Beach, we'll go and take Tori out for dinner or breakfast and keep on heading south.
I bet she didn't hate that. Yeah. Milovich's, how often do you guys tend to visit a year?
I think we were down there 3 or 4 times the first year.
Okay. All right. We seem to have found a kind of a consensus for sure. Best restaurant and hotel recommendation. We'll start with the Milovich's since we're on your screen.
One Ocean down by the beach.
That's all right.
And
like okay.
For restaurants, I would say
Where's the place that we did the brunch for homecoming?
North Beach Fish Camp.
Yes.
North Beach Fish Camp, and the taco bar next to it, the Flying Iguana.
Flying Iguana, those are good. Atlantic Beach, stay at the beach. Okay, Matthew's family. It seems like you're agreeing.
Yes, we ditto that, but don't forget Amelia Island.
Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
on a yes, as a treat.
I'm staying with you next time here in town, COVID or not. It's Jamie.
So we will stay in the city of Jacksonville. We live about a 4-minute walk to the beach. So for us, it's a little different. So it's kind of nice to be in that sort of city-esque feeling. And the Hyatt is great. And they have, I think, is it Morton's? I can't remember. They have a great restaurant inside, and it's super close to the school, so it's like a cute little getaway.
Perfect. And Lauren, how about you?
If you're looking for a good hotel on a budget and close to school, one exit away, the Hampton Inn Regency area, I think the JU rate is $92 a night, and you've got breakfast included. So that's usually my go-to when I come to visit. That way I'm close to campus.
Yep, perfect. And there's a whole website. Marianne can probably share the link if we can find it real quick, with JU discounts, hotel discounts, and things like that too. Okay, quick move-in advice, what to bring. Obviously, move-in's gonna look a little bit different this year, but Lauren, we'll start with you.
Well, I'd say have your student coordinate with roommates, because they don't need 2 refrigerators and 2 microwaves and things like that. But try to get them not to take their whole closet and everything in every drawer, because they don't need it all. Especially in in that first semester, it's hot in Florida, and they do not need their winter jacket until actually, and if they're done by Thanksgiving this year, they don't need their winter jacket in the first semester. They can bring things back the next time. And don't forget that whatever they bring, and they will get more while they're there, or they'll bring more things back after visits, all has to come back home or be stored over the summer. So less is more.
Good advice. Tisdale's move-in advice.
Totally agree with that. You don't have to take everything. We found access to whatever we needed, Walmart, Target, easy to find those last minute things that you don't have to haul for us across the country. Also, we were really impressed and we're very thankful for the service that comes on campus called Dorm Pack Pros. They stored everything for the summer, and then it's going to be waiting when she comes back. And for us, that was super, very helpful.
Perfect. And I think Marianne can probably drop some information about that in the chat, but they are a really, really wonderful service. Jamie, move-in advice.
So I have to admit, when I walked by Dorm Pack Pros, I looked at them and I said, no way. When I moved into college, I had to move everything on my own. There's no way, I don't want to waste paper. Here, take your flyer. Well, shame on me, because they saved my life, because they literally moved everything out, even down to his plant. And I think there was a fish tank too. I don't know if they're allowed to have fish tanks, but he didn't have a fish tank. But so I spoke to the lady, and she said to me, oh, don't worry, I've got his 2 plants, I'm watering them. And I apologized to her. I said, y'all, I said, when I first met you and your group, I poo-pooed you. I was like, no, we got this. And I have to tell you, it was probably the best investment of my life, because they make life easier, and and I'm only coming from 4 hours away, but just the whole move-in process and the move-out process. So now when we go back to move him in, they'll have everything in the boxes, and it's just much easier. So that's the company to remember, and give them a 5 thumbs, 10 thumbs up, or yeah.
Yep, they launder your bedding, they rinse out the mini fridge. You're right, it is a good service, a genius idea for sure. Matthew's family move-in.
Well, I'm actually going to chime in on the door pack thing, because I was the one that said, no way, I can do this. And I did, and I was exhausted.
Because I have to interject, less is more.
And she
had more. And
so,
cosmetic.
Yeah, everything. My advice was to bring a dolly.
It was awful.
It's terrible. And now we have a storage bin full of stuff that we got to go clear out.
And she told me 2 days ago, Mom, I think I took too much. It's like, you think?
So that door pack thing is sounding pretty good.
He said no. We're doing that next year, because.
All right, we'll send you the link to that as well. Sounds like you guys need to sign up too. Milovich's move-in advice.
2 things I would highly recommend. Well, definitely less is more. but a mattress pad, I definitely recommend that, and some form of raincoat because it rains a lot. And I think Ryan went through 3 of them because he would always forget them. I don't know how you forget a raincoat. Not like those, like when I recommended a raincoat to him, he was like, Mom, I'm not 3. But like, you know, like a Columbia rain, like I don't know what he was envisioning when I said raincoat, but like, yeah, I would definitely recommend some kind of rain. Like, I don't know what they call them. I call them raincoat. I guess I'm old school, but definitely it rains a lot in Jacksonville.
And for the moms, let them set up their dorm room, because if you set it up, it'll change within a week. So it's their room, let them set it up.
Oh,
And for the parents of boys, lots and lots of air freshener.
Oh yeah.
Gallons and gallons of Febreze.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that is good advice for sure. 2 things I just wanted to add, that this year we're encouraging students to bring their own thermometers. We're encouraging them obviously to have to be checking their own health. So please be sure to remember to send your student to school with a digital thermometer. And the second thing would just be, somebody touched on this earlier, to coordinate with your roommate. I mean, now I think is more important to make sure that you're on the same page about cleaning and sanitation and things like that, because students need to be cleaning their own space just as they would at home. So those are just 2 kind of final thoughts. And if there's nothing else in the chat, then we can go ahead and wrap this up. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to our wonderful panelists. We joked before this started, we should have made this a happy hour Zoom because it's really about that time. And if we were in person, we'd all be doing this at the President's Welcome Reception. So maybe next year or next time, if we have to do this virtually, we'll be sure to do that. Marian is going to drop our contact information in the chat again. But with that, we can wrap up. Please do feel free to email us anytime. If you'd like to get in touch with any of the panelists, we'd be happy to pass along their contact information to you as well. But for now, we'll just go ahead and wrap up. And thank you again. And welcome to JU.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Right.